Welcome to the road to 1 million US dollars. Let's get right into the Bitcoin chart for today, because we just got this weekly candle close for Bitcoin and it was inside the bull market support band, which is a very good thing to see. Of course, this is something that I have been talking about in my recent videos quite a bit, saying that if we get a weekly candle close below the bull market support band, typically we spend about a month or two below the bull market support band, right? So that would have been a pretty bearish scenario, but fortunately we actually got a little bit of a bump yesterday and traded back to the upside inside this range. So for now, everything is good to go. And besides that, we also broke this downtrend on the 1 day time frame for Bitcoin. So recently, we of course saw this exaggerated bullish divergence, which is when you have equal lows in the Bitcoin price and higher lows in the Bitcoin RSI momentum indicator. And like I have been talking about in my recent videos, typically what that means is that the bearish trend is losing its grip. However, there hasn't been a clear reversal signal yet. So it basically indicated some choppy sideways price action, which is what we have been seeing so far. But of course, yesterday we saw a bit of a pump breaking through this descending line of resistance. And we have now actually closed a daily candle back above this trend line. So now the question is this the reversal signal that we have been looking out for? Now, if I was a big risk taker, which I am not, but personally, yes, I would probably be longing this move. However, I don't like taking that risk. I have seen too many times at this point where we get some kind of breakout and it ends up being a fake out. So we just trade back to this trend line, testing it as a level of support and then breaking back below it again. So for now, I am still a little bit hesitant and I would really love to see a retest of this trend line before then blasting off to the upside. So overall, judging this move right here, I would say it is definitely a good thing, a bullish thing to see Bitcoin breaking this descending line of resistance. However, I haven't seen it flip it back into support, and that is personally something that I would like to look out for in terms of leverage trading. Now, in terms of just spot holdings, of course, you know that I bought some Bitcoin around right here at about 60.5K a couple of days ago, as I mentioned in my videos. But again, before I get too bullish here, I'm really waiting for that retest. And besides that, we can also see that Bitcoin is still in this large descending channel on the 1 day time frame. And so long as we are inside this range, so between 68.8K roughly and 56.2K, as long as we are trading between these two levels, Bitcoin is basically just consolidating sideways as far as I'm concerned. Although it is really exciting to see what is going to happen. Are we going to get another retest of this big level of resistance right here? And if so, are we going to break out? That is really the main question for now. And I will get to the shorter term levels of support and resistance in just a minute here. One thing that I do want to point out is this downtrend on the 1 day RSI for Bitcoin, because yeah, of course, recently we dipped into oversold territory. And typically, as I have been saying in my videos over and over again, typically what you see is the Bitcoin RSI needing to reset back to around this 50 level, roughly speaking. And right now you can see that the RSI is already reset to around the 44 level, which in my opinion is close enough to consider it being reset. So another important question here is, are we going to break this downtrend at some point? Because I think this would really be a strong confirmation that, yeah, we are breaking the actual downtrend and potentially even breaking this consolidation that Bitcoin has been in. So the most bullish scenarios here are Bitcoin breaking this downward sloping level of resistance in the price action, or something that we can see probably a little bit earlier is actually Bitcoin breaking this downtrend on the RSI, which is another thing that I recommend you look out for as well. Although just to be clear, yes, I think it's still completely possible that we go to the bottom of the range once again at some point, because like I was saying earlier, so long as we are trading inside the range, it is completely possible that we go to the top of the range and that we go to the bottom of the range. So moving on to the Fibonacci levels for Bitcoin, you can see that recently we held the 0.236 Fibonacci level sitting at 60.6K and are currently testing the 0.382 Fibonacci level sitting at about 63.1K. So again, this is an important level to break for Bitcoin, because if we really see Bitcoin breaking through this, retesting it as a level of support and getting a little bounce from there, potentially we could be looking at 65.2K, which is the 0.5 Fibonacci level as the next Fibonacci level of resistance. And taking a look at the support and resistance levels on the 4-hour time frame, right now you can see that Bitcoin actually got a bit of a rejection from this short-term level of resistance, sitting at about 63.6K. So in terms of big levels of support, right now Bitcoin is a little bit above this big level of support right here, sitting from 62.4K all the way down to 60,000 US dollars. And I mean, so long as we are trading above that, we can definitely get a bounce from here or potentially already get this move to the upside. So the important levels to pay attention to in terms of resistance are the 63.6K level. But above that, let's say that we break through this level. Well, above that, we have this big level of resistance sitting from 65 all the way up to 66,000 US dollars for the Bitcoin price. And quickly, before I move on with the Bitcoin analysis for today, I just want to point out this announcement that I just posted in the Road to 1 Million community Discord server, because right now you can get a 15% deposit bonus if you register and deposit on Blowfin. And in the case that you don't know, Blowfin and MEXC are two exchanges that I'm affiliated with and that I personally trade on as well. So as you can see right here, you get a 15% cashback up to the first $7,500 that you deposit on Blowfin. So this is obviously easy money to just deposit on, start trading with that futures bonus, make some profit, and then I guess see what you do from there. Obviously, Blowfin is hoping that you stay on their platform and continue trading on there. So that is why they're doing this promotion. But, you know, that decision is up to you. Now, this is only for the first 200 users, and currently already over 100 users have signed up with this promotion. So that is just something that you should take note of as well. If you really want to use this promotion and get that 15% cashback, then make sure you do it somewhat urgently, somewhat quickly, because, yeah, like I said, over half of the users have already used it. Oh, and before I forget, you can find the link to Blowfin in the video description. So right here, you can see this link right here, trade on Blowfin, no ID verification needed. And you simply click on this link and register on there. And then the promotion should be applied and you should get access to that 15% bonus. Now, moving on to the Bitcoin liquidation heat map. First of all, taking a look at this 3-day time frame, because right now you can see that there's a lot of liquidity piling up to the downside after we took out this major level of liquidity right here at about 62.2K. So here we liquidated about $200 million worth of people that were shorting the Bitcoin price. And again, up here, about $120 million worth of shorts getting liquidated. So right now we have about $150 million worth of liquidity of longs that could get liquidated if Bitcoin reaches back down to around this 60.4K level. So I would say that this is something noteworthy to pay attention to, because there is a lot of liquidity here, at least on this short-term time frame, that potentially, again, the Bitcoin price can get attracted to. Although zooming out to this 1 month time frame, you can see that we have started taking out a lot of liquidity to the upside right here. And of course, seeing a little bit of a pullback in this recent price action is normal to see, because, yeah, clearly we had a big move to the upside here. So therefore, it's okay if the price cools off for a little bit. Now, there is still a lot of liquidity left to be grabbed. For example, at 65K, 67K, 70K, and then most of the liquidity being at 72.3K. And yes, I continue to say it every single day. So long as we are trading inside the descending channel, this descending channel that I was talking about earlier, so long as we are trading inside this descending channel, I think it is completely possible that we will sweep the top side of this liquidity, because as far as I'm concerned, I think we are still in a bull run, so long as we are trading inside or above that descending channel. Either way, the next big pocket of liquidity to look out for is about 65K for the Bitcoin price. So again, this lines up with this level of resistance, because obviously we have the liquidity right here. So if you see the Bitcoin price trading up to that level, sweeping all of this liquidity and touching this resistance, well, potentially you can then start to see a little bit of a rejection from that level. So that is something to just be, I guess, warned about, because something like that could be likely if you see the Bitcoin price reaching up to that level, especially considering that on this 4-hour time frame, we basically touched overbought territory and then saw the RSI already reset back down a little bit. So especially if you see a move to the upside right now, it would look something like this on the RSI. touching that 65K level when we are in overbought territory, sweeping all of the liquidity. And then, yeah, of course, it would be likely to see the RSI need to reset back down a little bit. And it does that either by the price trading sideways or potentially even getting some bearish momentum. Now, just to be clear here, I am not calling for Bitcoin needing to reach 65K today or tomorrow or something like that. But I'm just saying that if you see Bitcoin breaking this level of resistance, that would be a scenario to look out for. Now, for the Ethereum price action for today, basically we are in this big level of resistance sitting from 35.30 all the way down to 34.30. So it is important to see what is going to happen here, especially if you see Ethereum breaking this 35.30 level, then potentially we could be looking at this next level of short-term resistance above that, sitting at about 36.50. Although, of course, breaking below this 34.30 level would indicate that potentially we are going back down to this 0.618 Fibonacci level, sitting at about 33.30. So that is just some short-term price action that you could be looking out for Ethereum here. But I think most importantly, you should be paying attention to what Bitcoin is doing, because if Bitcoin now starts retesting that previous line of resistance that I was talking about, well, in that case, Ethereum is likely going down to potentially retest this 0.618 Fibonacci level as well. Pay attention to the Bitcoin price in order to determine what you think is going to happen next for Ethereum as well as Solana. And speaking of Solana, recently we, of course, held the 0.236 Fibonacci level sitting at $138. And getting a nice bounce from that Fib level, we are now getting close to this 0.382 Fibonacci level once again, sitting at $152, roughly speaking. So again, if you see Solana reaching close to that price level, then make sure to start paying a little bit more attention and looking out for another potential rejection from there, as we saw here recently, where we got up to this high and then got a rejection to the downside once more. And in terms of support and resistance for Solana on this 4-hour time frame, right now Solana is in this big level of resistance, sitting from $150 all the way down to $140. So look out for breaking above that 150 level, but then, as I said earlier, pay attention to 152, roughly speaking, as well, because we have seen some previous highs here where we got a rejection. Either way, breaking through the 152 level would indicate that we are likely going up to these next short-term levels of resistance at $155 and potentially $160. So those, again, are two levels where you should be paying attention to the price action if you are longing this move. And in terms of support, if you see Solana breaking this 140 level, there is some short-term price action right here. So I guess potentially we could see a bounce from there. But personally, I prefer taking a look at these longer-term support levels. So that is why I would say pay attention to this as a big level of support from 134 all the way down to 125 for the price of Solana. Either way, it is good to see for basically every coin that I took a look at today that we are seeing some more bullish price action, because recently we, of course, have seen nothing but downside. So I'm glad to have basically sold the top and potentially bought the bottom here. Anyways, this has been today's market update. Thank you for watching once again, and I will see you tomorrow in the next one.